Wednesday of the 30th week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may have a long life on earth. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up with the training and instruction of the Lord. Slaves, be obedient to your human masters with fear and trembling, in sincerity of heart, as to Christ, not only when being watched as currying favor, but as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart, willingly serving the Lord and not men, knowing that each will be requited from the Lord for whatever good he does, whether he is slave or free. Masters, act in the same way towards them, and stop bullying, knowing that both they and you have a master in heaven, and that with him there is no partiality. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, "The Lord is faithful in all his words." Let all your works give you thanks, O Lord, and let your faithful ones bless you. Let them discourse of the glory of your kingdom, and speak of your might. The Lord is faithful in all his words. Making known to men your might, and the glorious splendor of your kingdom. Your kingdom is a kingdom for all ages, and your dominion endures through all generations. The Lord is faithful in all his words. The Lord is faithful in all his words, and holy in all his works. The Lord lifts up all who are falling, and raises up all who are bowed down. The Lord is faithful in all his words.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke. Jesus passed through towns and villages, teaching as he went and making his way to Jerusalem. Someone asked him, "Lord, will only a few people be saved?" He answered them, "Strive to enter through the narrow gate, for many, I tell you, will attempt to enter but will not be strong enough. After the master of the house has arisen and locked the door, then will you stand outside knocking and saying, 'Lord, open the door for us.' He will say to you in reply, 'I do not know where you are from.' And you will say, 'We ate and drank in your company, and you taught in our streets.' Then he will say to you, 'I do not know where you are from. Depart from me, you evildoers.' And there will be wailing and grinding of teeth when you see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the prophets in the kingdom of God, and you yourselves cast out. And people will come from the east and the west, and from the north and the south, and will recline at table in the kingdom of God. For behold, some are last who will be first, and some are first who will be last." The Gospel of the Lord.
The first reading comes from Ephesians 6, 1-9. Yesterday we saw the household instructions that concerned husbands and wives. Today we hear about children. Children should be obedient to their parents, but the parents shouldn't lord it over the children, shouldn't make it difficult for the children. So like the relationship between the husband and wife where there were mutual obligations, there are also mutual obligations between parents and children. Slaves should be obedient to their masters, but the masters shouldn't bully the slaves. Notice the author of this letter doesn't even question the institution of slavery, something that Paul does to a little bit in the letter to Philemon. Nevertheless, a slave who is a Christian should do his or her duty in the way that God intended it. Again, this is a Stoic teaching that everybody has a place in the world. It's not a passage that really speaks for liberation theology, that everybody should live in the freedom of the children of God. It's much more that we've all been called to obedience. The Gospel is from Luke 13, 22-30. Jesus is asked, will only a few be saved? His response, strive to enter the narrow gate. It is not always easy to be a good Christian. It will cost us, but we should strive to do what is right. And Jesus also speaks about the fact that many of those who belong to the chosen people, children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, will wail and moan because they will not enter the kingdom, while many of those who were outside will enter the kingdom. Entrance into the kingdom is not due to biological descendants, but much, much more to the ability to follow the will of God, to the ability to live it with our whole heart, soul, and strength. And may God bless us.